Hi, I'm Michael from Cognition. Ever feel like you and the rest of the business are speaking different languages? Let's face it, in the world of cybersecurity, confusion can be costly. But what if you could sharpen your ability to make distinctions so precisely that miscommunication becomes a thing of the past? Intrigued? Let's dive into the art of distinction making and see how it can transform your cybersecurity game. You might just be surprised at how this simple skill can make you a standout in the field. You may have seen my recent post on LinkedIn where I talked about applying systems thinking to help define a virtual Chief Information Security Officer's role, also known as a VCISO. I wanted to provide a little more context on making distinctions and how you can easily apply this mental move to help clarify misunderstandings and have clear boundaries between the definitions of things. This is an example of how you can do it visually, and you can do this on a piece of paper, you can do it on the back of a napkin, a whiteboard. It doesn't really require anything special, and so what we're talking about here is the definition of a virtual CISO. So let's go and put down some of the things that I think define the role. And one of those could be that they're a strategic advisor to the business. Another one could be that they are a part-time resource, which could be an interim role, which means that you're there for a fixed period of time, maybe 3 or 6 months full-time. It might be a fractional role, which means that they are there part-time, maybe 1 day a week, 4 days a month, 3 months a year, whatever it is. It's a pretty flexible sort of approach. They should have someone who has held a CISO role previously. So obviously, if you want someone to be acting as a virtual CISO, ideally you want them to have experience as a CISO in their previous roles. You want someone who can be a bridge between technical and business stakeholders. That's ideal, I think. You want them to help embed a strong culture that cybersecurity is something that your business does to support the strategic goals of the organization. They could be a mentor to existing security resources so they can help skill up the team that you have there, which is value add for the business. And next, they could be someone who is an objective voice in the business. So they come without the complication of being a full-time employee and all the relationship challenges that you sometimes have, which can prevent you from saying what you think. So let's now look at the other side. What is not a virtual CISO? We could say that it's not a full-time employee with all the associated costs. Otherwise, then you would just be a CISO, so it kind of makes the term redundant. And typically, you're not a replacement for in-house capability. So what you don't want to do is just become a crutch that the business leans on forever without understanding that they need to build and embed their own resources doing cybersecurity in the business to give them that strategic capability over the long term. You could also say that the role does not have to be limited to a single industry or company size. And you could probably say that it should be a senior leadership role in the business, not a technical hands-on resource. So as you can see, this exercise creates a clear distinction between what a virtual CISO is and what a virtual CISO isn't. This can be the starting point for having discussions within the business as to what you want the role of the virtual CISO to do. It can also be helpful in going to market to understand what a virtual CISO should and shouldn't do within your business. The one thing to keep in mind also, which is another mental move in systems thinking, is considering perspectives. So looking at the list from different perspectives, obviously this is my perspective on what the role is and isn't. You may have someone else, let's call him Bob. Bob may have a perspective on what a virtual CISO is and what they should do. The point is not to say which one is correct, but to use it as a clear starting point for further discussion and clarification. And now I can sit down with Bob and understand which of these things does Bob agree with or not agree with on my list? And what are the things that I don't agree with that Bob might have on his list? Then we can have a starting place with which to find some common ground on what we think the role of a virtual CISO is. There's often no single right answer in life. The point is not to define exactly what a virtual CISO is, Using this move is a simple and powerful way for having a starting point to understand what other people's perspectives are, in this case for a role. But it could be any idea or concept, and from there you can move forward and find agreement. It's far more impactful to use these visually, as I mentioned, on paper, a whiteboard, post-it notes, or using software, as in this example. By using the is not list. You can reduce confusion where people say the same thing but mean different things, or say different things but mean the same thing. This move will help everyone get on the same page. Now that you've sharpened your distinction-making skills, it's time to put it into action. Here's what you should do next. Actively practice. Start by consciously applying these techniques in your daily cybersecurity discussions. The more you use it, the more natural it will become. Share with your team. Introduce this concept to your colleagues. By creating a shared language of distinctions, you'll dramatically improve team communication and efficiency. Challenge assumptions. Use your new skills to question and refine existing cybersecurity definitions. You might uncover critical nuances that were previously overlooked, enhancing everyone's understanding. Remember, mastering the art of making better distinctions is an ongoing activity. Keep refining your skills and watch how it transforms your effectiveness in the cybersecurity landscape. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has given you some practical tips on making better distinctions. Go to my website or follow me on LinkedIn to learn more about systems thinking for cybersecurity. And remember, better thinking means better actions and better outcomes.